This is Professor Hildebrandt. I had a request to work an example of the linear supply and demand equations. So in terms of how to calculate or how to get those equations and then how to use those to calculate our equilibrium price and our equilibrium quantity for a market. So I'm quickly going to just run through an example of this to hopefully help some of you. So we have a demand curve, and we have, I'm giving you 2 points on the demand curve, so 12 and 3 and 10 and 5. And remember that this is representing a pair of X and Y, so this is quantity and this is price. Step 1, we're going to find our slope. Step 2, we'll calculate the y-intercept. Step 3, we'll then put that together to get our linear equation. We'll do the same process to get our linear equation for supply. We'll put those together then to solve for market equilibrium. So, calculating our slope is simply rise over run, or the change in price divided by the change in quantity. So I just take those 2 points. I'm going to start with my price, so I do 5 minus 3. And then on the bottom I have quantity, 10 minus 2. I would get a 2 divided by negative 2, and so the slope of our demand curve is negative 1. For the y-intercept, I'm going to use the equation that P equals A plus mx. This is our y, where A is our y-intercept and m is our slope. So I'm going to pick one point. It doesn't matter which. I chose 10 and 5. So I plug in 5 for price. A is what I'm trying to solve for. Again, that's my y-intercept. My slope is minus 1, and my quantity was 10. Okay, so I have 1 times 10 from minus 10. I have 5 over here, so I add 10 to both sides, and I would get an answer of y-intercept, or A, equals to 15. I then pull this together. So again, our final linear equation is P equals that y-intercept of 15, our slope, so minus 1 times Q. So that's your final linear equation for the demand curve. So these are our 2 points on the supply curve, 7 and 10 and 9 and 12. Again, same process. So slope, rise over run, or delta P over delta Q. I would end up with 2 over 2, or positive 1 for my slope. Again, same process for y-intercept. I chose the point of 9 and 12 on my supply curve. So 12 goes in for price, 9 for quantity. Okay, I'm isolating B, so I would get 12 minus 9, or B equal to 3. And then again, I plug in for my linear equation, so P equals 3 plus the slope of 1 times X. So again, here are the 2 equations. All I did was I dropped the 1 here and the 1 there, okay, for those 2 slopes. Now I have 2 equations with the same 2 unknowns, so I'm going to pull P out and set them equal to each other. So I end up with 15 minus Q equals 3 plus Q. Subtract a Q from each side, you get minus Q equals 3 minus 15. So I have negative 2Q equals negative 12. Divide both sides by negative 2, and my quantity, equilibrium quantity, is 6. To get to price, I now pick either one of my linear equations and plug the Q in, solve for P. So I chose to use P equals 3 plus Q, so 3 plus the quantity I just found of 6, and my equilibrium price would be 9. And I hope that some of you find this helpful.